Welcome to Women Who Walk. I'm Louise Ross, writer and author of Women Who Walk the book, the inspiration for this podcast. And just as I did for the book, here I'll be interviewing and unpacking the journeys of impressive, intrepid women who've made multiple international moves for work, for adventure, for love, for freedom. You can find a transcript with pictures to each episode and my books on my website, louiseross.com. If you'd prefer to listen to an interview while simultaneously reading closed captions of the transcript, you can do that on YouTube under my channel, Women Who Walk Podcast. Hello listeners, welcome to episode 12 of Women Who Walk. My guest today is Sandhya Acevinkumar. Sandhya is one of the women whose story appears in my book, Women Who Walk. She talks of a happy childhood growing up in the immigrant Indian community of Mozambique, where she was born. When Mozambique gained independence from Portugal in the mid-70s, escalating civil unrest caused her parents to abandon the comfortable life they'd built and return to Gujarat in the northwest of India to start over. 3 years later, when she was 10, the family migrated again, this time to Lisbon, Portugal, in search of opportunities. The stress of the country moves and the harsh realities of being identified as different by her peers at the American school in Lisbon resulted in Sandhya developing vitiligo at 13, which compounded the taunting she was already experiencing. Despite this, she excelled academically, but there was no talk of her going to university. Instead, her parents expected her to work in the family business, which she did. And then by the time she was 21, she was in an arranged marriage. Though there are aspects of Sandhya's personal story that are difficult to read, she's ultimately triumphant, forging a life for herself and her 4 daughters within the confines of her arranged marriage. And that encouraged me to want to pick up from where her written story ends and talk more about the evolution of her work with the philanthropic foundation Minhembeti that she and her husband founded in Mozambique, and where Sandhya visits twice a year, and also her leadership role in the Indian community in Lisbon. Plus, since I interviewed Sandhya for the book, 2 of her daughters have graduated university and married young men that they fell in love with and that they chose to marry. Welcome, Sandhya, and thank you for being a guest on Women Who Walk.
Hello, Louise. It's a great honor to be here. I feel very privileged. Thank you.
As we start, why don't you give listeners a sense of your neighbourhood? I think in the introduction I mentioned that you actually do live in Portugal, but tell us where and perhaps what you see out your windows and a little about your neighbourhood.
I live in Sintra, in Quinta da Beloura. It's a beautiful premises, and it's a Gulf estate. I love the fact that each individual house is different. We have pink houses, yellow, blue, gray, modern, classic, traditional. The garden spaces are also very comfortable. I love my garden. Actually, we walk through it every single day. We have several types of flowers, herbs. We have several olive trees. It's very pleasant.
It sounds gorgeous. Tell me, do you grow herbs because you like to cook with them or use them medicinally?
Both. I love herbs. So we've grown up with herbs since a young age, and we use it on our daily cuisine. And absolutely, as medicinal, they're home remedies for us. They play a very big role in our cuisine and our lives.
Actually, what I didn't mention in the introduction is that we met in a traditional Indian cooking class that you were teaching. And I love that class because you learn so much from home chefs, if you like. It was a wonderful time. So thank you for sharing a little about your neighbourhood and your home and garden. So, I'd love to start on a celebratory note. Your two eldest daughters graduated university and then married young men that they're in love with. Despite the COVID pandemic, I bet there have been some really happy times in your family in the 3.5 years since I interviewed you for the book.
Absolutely. The eldest one got married December 2019, and right after that, the COVID-19 virus was in Europe, and there was a major lockdown in Portugal, Europe, and other continents. And then my second daughter got married this year, end of June 2021. Also had to deal with some delays with her wedding dates. But one thing of this pandemic, we bonded as a family. We bonded more. And I think this has been the happiest months of my life. We are blessed financially, so we didn't have to worry about that part. We had more time for each other to plan the weddings, to make meals together, to go shopping. Even my husband, who is mostly occupied with his business trip, was at home. So we did closet cleaning, spring cleaning, had more time to read, play games, watch shows. So actually, it was positive for our family.
I have heard stories like that from other families. It was a really wonderful bonding time. And I remember seeing videos you shared with some friends about your eldest daughter's marriage, which looked absolutely spectacular. Were you able to have a wedding like that for your second daughter?
Even more. The second daughter's wedding was even more glamorous and beautiful. We took everything to another level because the first daughter's wedding was spectacular. So we wanted to take it a step up, just more exquisite. The decor, all the catering, we try to incorporate a bit of fine dining, the clothing, our outfits, the music. We even had a band and the dances. We did all the Bollywood choreography. We practiced at home. We had a lot of time to practice and we outshined. It was amazing, beautiful wedding. And my
Oh,
daughter, so happy. And the groom's family is also very kind and very generous, loving, and they just accepted her with open arms. We received the photos from the photographer they were editing, and I am just mesmerized.
it does sound spectacular. Sandy, can you tell me, is this very much a tradition in Indian culture to have these big and glamorous? And I remember, I think your first daughter's wedding was 5 days. Is this part of your tradition?
Absolutely. As a young girls, I have two younger ones. One's 22, another one's 16, and they are already dreaming of their wedding days. I put in the pearl. Yes, they go from 3 to 5 days, and it's an opportunity to not only dress up and beautify yourself with jewels and clothing, but it's the bonding with the family. The cousins come from abroad, and the uncles and the aunts and the grandparents. It really brings everybody close together, and
Hmm.
it's also a way to show off your wealth,
Hmm.
your position in the society, and to say, how successful you are, and then to show off your in-laws families. Like my daughter's husbands are very good looking, very smart, successful young men. So it's a way of showing we have worked hard, but we did accomplish all this.
It serves a larger purpose within the context of your community and society. Yeah. So, your married daughters building very different lives for themselves. For instance, they've had many more opportunities, such as education and education abroad. Do you see this as a byproduct of how hard you've worked to ensure that they had the freedom to study and to choose their life partners? Or do you see this as a natural result of the times or both?
Probably both. My husband and I worked very hard and gone through a lot of sacrifices. We both did not have a higher education due to financial reasons. We were both from Mozambique, and the independence led our families to lose their business and migrate to India and then back to Portugal. My daughters also, they have worked very hard. They've seen us struggle, and they have thrived themselves as well to be entrepreneurs and succeed and also create their own position in the society because they've seen that success gives you a stable position in the society. It's not fair, but that's how it is. You're looked more upon and you're welcomed at events. So they've grown up seeing all this, and they like the comfortable lifestyle, and they also look forward to have a stability.
Right. So the opportunities have given them a
Mm.
stability that in fact you didn't really have growing up. When you were a child in Mozambique, things were stable for a while, and then with Mozambique's independence from Portugal, things became quite unstable. But besides your mother tongue of Gujarati, you also learned to speak English, with which your father taught you, and you were learning Portuguese at elementary school. So, despite your father placing importance on you learning English and two other languages, when it came to higher education, this wasn't considered an option for you. Why is that, Sandhya?
We are from the caste Brahmin. The education comes very easily to us. We are known to read Sanskrit and be scholars. Reading books come really easily to me. And my father as well. He's known as a very intelligent man in our community. People, if they have any questions about religion or about any of the Vedas or any of the scriptures, they do direct to him to get the right answers or the explanations. As I was growing up, Vitiligo was not looked upon as very pleasant or something that would find me a good spouse. And then I was becoming more intelligent. I was becoming outspoken, and I knew a lot of general facts. He thought that if I was even more educated and smart, then it would be difficult to find a spouse who would accept this young girl who has vitiligo, which is not accepted in the families. So that's why he thought that I should not go for higher education.
Wow, that's interesting.
Mm.
Well, let's talk a little about the vitiligo. Just recently, I heard an interesting talk on autoimmune conditions, and I believe vitiligo is considered to be an autoimmune condition. And apparently, there's a far higher incident of autoimmune illness amongst people living in diasporas than in the general population. And one of the theories is minority stress theory, where the environment in which immigrants find themselves in is constantly shaming you for being different and conveying the message that you're not
Mm.
welcome. And in response, the immune system is in a state of hypervigilance and can't turn off. And then conditions like vitiligo appear as the body's way of dealing with the environmental stresses. What do you think of this? Does it make sense to you given the experiences you had as a young teenager, moving country to country and then finding yourself at the American school in Lisbon where you were bullied and teased a lot? And then how's your vitiligo today? Is it an issue for you?
I completely agree. Now that I'm older, more mature, and I
Mm.
have a different perspective on it. But when we moved from India, yes, I felt ashamed every single day. I was ashamed of how I looked and the color of my skin and how we were dressing and our culinary habits and so forth. So that was a challenge every single day. And I developed vitiligo. That was my body's way of reacting, and it spread very quickly. From a month till in a year, 50% of my body was covered with white patches.
Wow. Hmm.
I did not understand what was happening as a teenager, so it made me depressed. I was angry. So I started dedicating to my studies. I thought if I cannot be beautiful, if I cannot be the prom queen or liked by the young men, I will study hard. I will excel in my studies, and that's what I did. And my dad did see that, oh, this young girl is excelling in other areas. Now that I look back, I was feeling ashamed. But if it was today, no, I would not, because the maturity has told me I've accepted myself. And actually, vitiligo has made me stronger and brighter. I see myself working harder than my peers, and now in the society, I feel like um, I I dress up more, and I can see that in my girls that we always do everything like a step more, you know. So that has given us a thrive to be even more successful. And today, I thank Vitiligo for becoming the woman I am.
What a wonderful answer. Thank you. Now, back to your girls. In contrast to your daughters, in your early 20s, you were in an arranged marriage. And when your first daughter was 4 months old, and this was back in 1993, you had an opportunity to move from Lisbon. You had already moved with your family from Mozambique back to Gujarat in India, then to Lisbon, and then you're married. You're in your early 20s with a 4-month-old baby. You moved to Luanda because your husband suspected there'd be business opportunities in the midst of Angola's civil war, or maybe because of the war. And so he said, "We're going." What was that like for you? Did you want to go? Were you frightened to move to a country in the civil war? And then was your husband right? Were there opportunities there?
You know, he moved to Angola when I was pregnant. I was left here alone. I was living with his family, and I didn't disliked living with them, although we had a small apartment of ours. But when he said, "Let's move," I was thrilled. I just wanted to move. I just wanted to go. I like going to places and meeting new people. I'd rather go to a wedding where I don't know anybody or an event and just meet new people. I really enjoy that. We didn't have that much access to internet then, but I was already doing research if there was an American school there. I could do some part-time, or if there was an international school. What could I do to meet new people, the international community? I was very thrilled to go. Once we reached there, it wasn't as pleasant. We didn't have much to live, and for our young baby to grow, we were living in a very small hotel, and then we bought a little house. But through those challenges, I like challenges. As a young girl, with a lot of challenges, financially and in all aspects. So yes, and I would go back and forth. I would live there for 2 months. I would come to Lisbon, make the most of our house. We already were able to purchase a house here. Financially, we were growing very quickly. And yes, my husband was absolutely right, because since we were together as a family, he also was able to succeed more, I think, because we were each side by side. We earned our wealth first in Luanda. So we are grateful for that.
Okay, so there were great opportunities there. And then you moved. Was there a safety factor that encouraged you and your husband to then move to Mozambique?
We stayed in Angola for about 6 years. By that time, I already had my second daughter. And then the civil war was more violent. There was scarce of everything, unable to go outside without a guard. And the young girls were growing, and we felt that they needed to be in a community, able to go to the temples, go to the prayers, and have Indian friends also. I made a visit
Hmm.
to Mozambique on my own with my two young ones. My husband's two brothers were already living there. And I was like, we can do this. It's a country that has also a lot of chances to make new business. And it also has a community temple. So I went back to Luanda and I told my husband, we should go together and you should take a chance and see if you can start investing in business opportunities there. That's how we decided to move to Mozambique. We took that risk and we went to Mozambique and we worked very hard. My husband is also a risk taker and he's a visionary. He started in the field of constructions, which he didn't have a lot of experience, but with a lot of hard work and research, he managed to be successful.
And in fact, so successful that your husband set up a not for profit philanthropic organization called, and let me know if I get this right, Minhembeti,
Yes.
an African word meaning tears. Tell us about this, Sandhya.
Minhembeti is my husband's pride and joy. That's like his baby boy that we never had. He adores the foundation. He lives, he breathes the foundation. We have four daughters, which we absolutely love, and we've given them the best. But he wanted to leave a legacy behind. And in our culture, when a daughter marries, maybe the word is not inherit, but she carries the name of the husband, and their children will be known as the husband's names.
Yes, that the children will carry the husband's name and your husband's name will be lost.
Yes, that's
Mm,
yeah, and the
mm.
identity. So he always felt that we've accomplished a lot together. So he wanted to leave something not only for our grandchildren but for humanity. And my husband is a Brahmin, and he's very religious and very spiritual as well. And
Mhm.
we follow our guru, Naturam Sharma, which he is a total devoted to him, and he absolutely believes through his grace and blessings and ancestors' blessings that we have accomplished everything that we have. And we call it the right path. None of us have vices or we have not spend money incorrectly. I don't know if that is a term
Yes, that's right.
in
Mhm.
places that are not valid. And we were able to have wealth, which we are very comfortable with. And he's also very helpful towards his siblings. And there's like, but I need to leave a legacy for Hinduism, for the Hindu culture. And that's where the project came up.
I see. And then this word, Minhembeti, an African word meaning tears, why choose that name?
Oh, because my husband was born in a small village, which is about 80 kilometers from the city of Maputo, called Salamanga.
Mm.
My husband's father had a nickname given by the locals, Tears, because he used to read a lot and always used to have a tear rolling down. So that was his nickname. And in that province, he was always known as a kind hearted man. So in that village, he was born there and grew up there because he wanted to do something for that community, build a local school, a local clinica, a small little hospital, make the infrastructures better. That's why the project is set up there in Salamanga, and it's doing very well. The girls are also involved. In the beginning, they were apprehensive. They did not connect to that. They were like, "Why do we have to do this? We were not born here. It doesn't mean anything." But we used to go there on weekly basis and do seva. Seva is selfless work without receiving anything in return. The girls all started getting involved. We gave them the freedom also to create their own projects. So they have created three projects called Make Me Smile, Toys Are Life. Started creating their own projects, making toys out of the fabric, very Mozambican and very common for the young children there. And then another project is about teaching or maybe reminding the locals that there's herbs and trees and roots that they grow there they can use medicinally. It's wonderful. The girls are all involved at times, more involved, especially when there's festive time like Christmas. In Mozambique, they call it Dia de Familia, which is Family Day. And that's a very big celebration. The foundation holds a big celebration, and goods are given out to the elderly, the most needed. The ones who are not able to come there, baskets reach their homes. 1st of June is also a tremendous celebration, and 7th of April, which is Women's Day.
I think I read on the website that there's also volunteer opportunities. Is that right?
Absolutely, yes. A lot of devotees come there from different backgrounds, from different countries. They stay there. The foundation has infrastructures which are relatively comfortable and safe. Stay and do selfless work in any sector, either it's construction, gardening, cooking, cleaning, or there's also a tank of water that is taken out of the river, which is quite, it's not polluted, but it's very muddy. And it's refined several times and distributed to the locals from workshops to talk about HIV, AIDS, and other diseases that are quite common in Africa, and woman empowerment. Because in this little town, the young girls only study up until grade 4. After that, they do not go to higher education. The mothers prefer that the 9 to 10 years old take care of the younger siblings and help with the household chores. The second factor is that if they have to walk to a school that's a few kilometers away, they get harassed, raped, or
Who did
abused.
that?
Usually their neighbors, younger or elderly men that live nearby. And this is not talked about, or they get seduced. They get called upon. They say, "Oh, come here. Can you help us with this chore? In return, I will give you a free Coca-Cola,
Mm-hmm.
or I'll buy you a new frock."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, it's very common. So they stay at home and help with agriculture. They produce their own vegetables in their backyard.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So there's a number of different branches of the foundation that offers the community an opportunity to flourish.
Mhm.
And I noticed also on the foundation's website that it's the 10-year anniversary since its launch. So this is also something to celebrate.
Oh, absolutely. My husband and I, we feel very useless at the moment because we're unable to travel to Mozambique for the past 2 years, not only due to the pandemic, but due to the social situation there and the security. For the past 7 years, series of kidnapping has been occurring in the Indian community. When I say Indian, it could be from any religious background, but it's from the Indian community. And the ransom amounts are so big and it's devastating. It affects the business, the kidnappers, they threaten the family members and just make it very unpleasant to stay there. And the person who's kidnapped usually stays in captivity from 3 to 4 months because the amount is so large that it's not available. And in the past few years, there has occurred some tragic death as well.
It just sounds dangerous then for you to travel.
True. We are still always connected with the foundation. We're very lucky. We have a staff that's reliable and confident, that we can trust. And they do carry on these duties with the same image and the same trustworthiness. As I said, it's like our baby, our child. And to give this responsibility to somebody there who would not do this with the same compassion and same love, we always have to double check everything and make sure that things are carried on the right
Mm-hmm.
way.
Mm. Well, that's wonderful then that you're able to hand over a lot of the day-to-day running to local management and that you trust them and that things are getting done in your absence. I'm also interested in the leadership role that you play here in Lisbon in the Indian community. Can you talk a little about that too?
I was telling my daughter that we are born in Africa, brought up in Europe, but our heart is very Indian. A few days ago, it was very auspicious, the day of Lord Shiva. And automatically, I put my name down for the seva group where we had to selfless work. It just feels like when we do this kind of work, we feel good about ourselves. I tell my daughter that I'm doing good for others. I'm standing there for 2 hours serving rice, peeling potatoes, just because when I come back, I feel good about myself. That I did something. I feel fulfilled in my role in the Hindu community here. I don't have a position anymore. Before, my husband was the vice president, and I had all my duties connected with that. But we've both stepped down, and we do work as needed without holding a position.
So then the Siva work that you mentioned, is this at the temple where you're preparing food for the less fortunate members of your Indian community you
Yes,
mentioned?
we go to the temple, and we do through the temple.
I see, yes. I remember taking a tour through the temple that you were conducting, and it was a wonderful way to learn about what goes on at the temple. And I remember there was a cafe and we had a lunch, and I do remember a delicious dessert actually. So it's very much an active community around events through and at the temple.
Yes, every month we have a festivity, and the community also has a school for the younger ones.
Okay.
Yes, to learn Gujarati. Gujarati is the language from region that we are from, Gujarat, and that keeps us connected. If we travel to India, that's how we communicate with our elder ones. I think it's tremendously important. All of my daughters speak Gujarati. They're not able to read and write fluently, but they do speak fluently. I always tell them that it's so crucial to not lose your mother tongue, especially if you have to scold your own children in a public place. It does come in handy.
What sort of things might you say when you're scolding your children in a public place?
Things like, you don't look appropriate, this is not how it should be, or I told you not to ask me again that you can sleep over at your friend's house. It comes in handy when we go shopping and we find items that are overpriced, or if we dislike, then we can speak in our mother tongue between us.
And not have anybody overhear what you're talking about. Actually, I think that's universal for people who speak several languages or communicate in their mother tongue with their children outside their country of origin. They're able to have a private conversation in public. So where do you see yourself in, say, 5 to 8 years when the girls have all launched and the house is quiet?
We have a beautiful home, a 7-bedroom home, and we have 4 daughters, and then we have a temple room office, and an Indian house always has a guest room because it's common to have guests once in a while, family members or distant friends that come and stay. And there's only 3 of us at the moment, my husband, I, and the younger one living at home. And I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm enjoying it because the amount of time I spend in the kitchen is a lot less because I'm cooking a lot less. I'm enjoying just free time and doing everything at a slower pace. I've been appreciating dropping the younger one to her activities, and I've even joined 2 of her activities. She's doing
Oh.
a music school drumming, and there's a music teacher available. So I put myself down. So instead of sitting in the car or running back home to do other chores, I've joined more activities. And I like it. And it's without any stress. It's just for fun.
The activities, is it drumming?
Singing.
Oh, wow.
My second daughter's wedding, my husband and I, we like to surprise our children with something. For the first one, we performed a dance. Yes, we are outside the box. For the second one, my husband was occupied, so I performed a fado song for her. It
Yeah.
was wonderful. So I'm continuing with the fado.
Uh-huh.
And the second thing is my husband and I have more time for leisure, for walks together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And another thing is the spirituality, the spiritual path. We dedicate more to our guru. We are very devoted to him and his scriptures. And there's so many books. See the white books on top?
Yes, I do. I do see
They're
that.
all from India. They're from the library of the guru. And we brought them here.
Do you and your husband do that together?
No, we don't do it together, but then we discuss them together.
I see. That makes sense.
Yes.
Many couples, when they move into the empty nest years, you're finding each other again. You're spending time together and getting to know one another again.
Absolutely. Our 2 daughters are married successfully, in our opinion. Our mind is also more calm.
Yeah.
Yeah. My husband, family members see us more with more distinction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, that we have done well.
You've succeeded. You've worked hard and you've succeeded. And the girls are on that path too. They've married well and they're highly educated and they're on their way.
That also has made us more at ease with the 2 younger ones, but we cannot be too at. We still have
One at home still.
yes.
Well, as we finish up, for listeners who are curious to learn more about the foundation, or maybe listeners are interested in volunteering, where can they find the foundation online?
The foundation has a website, www.minhembeti.org, and on Instagram, Minhembeti, and Facebook, Fundasal Minhembeti. You can contact us through that, and it will be a great pleasure and honor to talk more about the foundation. It always is.
Terrific. So in the transcript to this episode, I will add links to each of the sites and social media platforms as well. So thank you so much, Sandhya, for sharing more of your story with me, and this time for the podcast. It's always a delight to talk with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Louise. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening today. And so you don't miss future episodes with more impressive, intrepid women, do subscribe on your favourite podcast provider. And if you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review Women Who Walk on either Apple or Podchaser. I've linked to them both in the transcript of this episode, which you can find on my website, louiseross.com.